Hey y'all, welcome back to the ranch. I'm Jared Paul, and today I'm going to give you a nice update on the garden, the tree farm, and the bonsais. I made some big mistakes last fall. I'm going to show you how to prevent those. And yeah, so just going to get an overall update on the ranch. Hey Carl. And that's what's coming up on today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. All right, so Snoop and Mario and Peach and Marley, they're all doing well. They have tested the capabilities of this enclosure, and as you see, they find ways to get through down below, so adapting it on the daily when they get out. So the pumpkins kick butt this year. Got some nice sized ones. I'd say, I don't know, anywhere from 15 to 20. My new buddies want some attention, so Stella likes to come out and count them every day. You see them popping, they crawled through the fence and grew. Just really a lot of fun, especially since we just did them from seed this year. This was the strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, just overgrown now because I don't pay attention to things that aren't important. Boom, you see in there. It's supposed to be butternut squash. There might have been some different seeds in there. There we go, there's a butternut. So they kind of took over as well. And the tomatoes are a nice little backsplash. I have them on both sides, but they're hard to see with the crazy growing squash and pumpkins. All right, so first mistake that I made was when I got my 500 white spruce, my Picea glauca, I planted most of them in sandbags because I wanted to sell them. And then some of them, the prized ones, I planted in here in the raised tree bed, and I just did the base with some decomposing 2x4s and old wood, and then leaves and grass and bark mulch and soil, and I mixed it all up, and I planted those directly in. And you see they are just getting huge and dominant. So for full-size trees, if you want full-size trees, definitely the sandbag wasn't where it's at. For bonsais and ornamentals, you see they stay much shorter and smaller. These are all going on their 5th growing season, so in February of this year I'll have had them 5 years. So looking at these oaks, I planted a bunch of acorns in here and a couple of them grew, so got some nice healthy ones. These will probably be extracted and used for like my height garden sized trees. Yeah, so this is, I'd say, 50 of the white spruce out of the 500. Sold a bunch at the farmer's market this year, and did some gardening projects for clients and planted them in their gardens as well. This is 7 of mine. I've seen better days. Kind of hunkered down with some other Yamadori from past years. At maple, some other trees in here like some forsythia and things. They're just taken over by the wildflowers. These honeysuckles are the last to bloom, so that's really what the bees are surviving on right now, so I try not to mess with them too much. All right, so if you recall last year, I put in a cold house, so to speak, and I had a tarp over the top, and that's where I kept my less cold hardy bonsais over winter. They did not do well in there because the mice got in and ate around the trunks. So anyways, this is off the side of my garage, and I liked it because there was a double entry. I could go through the garage and that door, and in theory it worked, but the mice, it did not. So now that I've moved my gym from this 2-car garage to a storefront, now I have plenty of room in there for winter. So I'm going to take this down and put all of Stella's little houses and slides and playthings in this protected area. For winter it'll be easier to maintain. Fall and winter, and I'm going to take all of these windows out and store them for another day because we don't have a purpose for it anymore if I got the garage. All right, moving on. So I've got this awesome hickory that I got from under my front steps 5 years ago when we moved in, and it was just kind of like growing up into hitting here, and I think that's what created that awesome sway at the bottom. So I've grown it to topiary size and height. It's starting to lose its leaves really end of hot summer and early fall. These typically do. And then this is a hickory that sprouted up, and I've been growing. It's about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years behind the other one, but I figure since it's in the ground it could catch it with its thickness, and then I will dig this one up and create matching topiaries with those two. This really, it looks so much more beautiful through the summer. I'm sorry y'all missed that. Okay, before we go up on the bonsai deck, so if you just want to see bonsais, go ahead, fast forward probably another 5 minutes. So I've been taking this ginormous pile of mulch here, and it was like that. I got about 200 yards of mulch for free from local tree companies, and I'm going to be redoing my beds again this year, so reestablishing these tree beds. That just makes it easier to mow and for weed maintenance. But what I did with the rest of my tree farm trees, the white spruce, is I surrounded these trees up front here with like 2 to 3 rows, so I could still drive around with the tractor around the trees. I had them linearly before and I didn't like the way it looked. So anyways, and now I'm gonna bring the mulch and cover those up, so you won't even see the sandbags. And I could give you a quick demo over here. Hold on. The lawn's looking really nice this time of year. Usually it's burnt up. We've had such a rainy, wet August into September that it stayed nice and green, which means more lawn maintenance. My bonsai broskies, who are also lawn broskies, I'm sure you're feeling that. So this is the first one I finished. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but if I do sell these as live Christmas trees this winter, now they're already staged up front for people to swing by and pick out the ones they like. So yeah, so this is what that one over there will look like, and then I'll just freshen all these trees around with the mulch. All right, so these weeping spruce here, these are Picea Abies, Norwegian spruce. That one is not happy, probably needs a repotting this February or so. And then this one gets a little more shade, it seems a little happier. And then the other two, we've got a blue spruce over here that's just been growing out after a horrific pruning, in which when I first started doing bonsai about 5 years ago, I wanted it to weep like the rest of them. And so anyways, it's actually getting some nice character to it. I might take in the width of the canopy eventually, but I'm really just letting it gain strength and grow, grow, grow. And this one's our Bob Marley tree. Makes me think of him with his hair cocked off to the side, a guitar off to the other, just jamming out. Pretty cool. All right, so let's make our way to the bonsais. The end of summer is getting extended out a little bit longer than normal here, which is great. So this is the time of year where I always get motivated to prune, and it's the worst time of year. And I'll show you, my boy Matt Brennan, he had said, this is the worst time to trim your Trident maples, Jared. They need that energy to go back into the root system to survive winter and kick off next year. So these are my king sago palms and a Canary Island date palm. They're getting to hang outside for a little longer. And I didn't listen to Matt, and I pruned some as an experiment. So this one I didn't prune. This is my garden size one. It'll be about my height when it's planted in the ground. See, the mice even got a little bit of that one, although it's kind of some cool character now that it survived. So right now I would want to take down these long shoots and get everything to a nice round canopy, but it's the wrong time to do it. So I will, when it defoliates in February, I'll be doing that. So let's make our way up onto the bonsai deck. Nice little dawn redwood there. These are all from seed. So birch. Well, this one's not from seed. We talked about that enough. Got a cherimoya here. It's been outside a while. It really likes it outdoors in the past. That fruiting vine I've kept indoors, but definitely outside was the way to go. This is my flowering viburnum. Did well this year. This did not flower this year. This is a Rose of Sharon. I gave one to a broski in a pot as well. He said same result. So the ones in the ground, they're just finishing blooming, the full-size ones. All right, so we've got See Here, Speak No Evil. This is the lemon-scented gum that I wired to kind of come back to the middle and then go back out because it was just looking so weak and terrible. Well, it definitely liked summer. It looks the healthiest it has in years. And we got tons of those little shoots coming out of the base, which seems to be the only way this thing likes to grow. New growth from the base. Everything else gets long, leggy, and then dies off. This is one of the white spruce that I wired up and potted up for the farmer's market this year. It wasn't for sale. This is just for personal use, but I figured it gave people a picture on what they could do with it. It's coming along nicely. I'll probably remove the wire in early spring. So these are Jim Dandy winter berries. This one grew a little slower, but I'm loving the smaller leaves. And then this one, this is actually one of its volunteer roots that I thought looked nice in the pot with it. May remove it someday. Get some outstanding trunk bases here. Oh wait, no, these are the two Jim Dandy winter berries. This is verbena. That was a Yamadori years ago. It was going my ugliest tree ever, and I got some brutal feedback on my gin techniques, but to me it looks good. Moving along, speaking of Matt Brennan, we've got his orange tree from Florida that he sent me. It's looking nice and healthy. It had really died back just to a single trunk, and so I'm happy that it's happy. Even there, you got a new bud coming, so that's a good healthy tree. The blueberry, you see the established trunk, and then you get those nice shoots going up to thicken it during the fall, and then I prune those off in spring. Get those really nice reds and purples later on in the season. This is a strangler fig, also from my broski Matt Brennan. Right. Got some river birch. Here is a monstrosity. This is my black locust forest planting. And I just repotted into this bigger tub because it was getting very root bound and it loved it. This one got a little too hot this year without being refreshed with some water, and it got crispy, but it has kicked off new growth, so I think we're going to be all right with that one. In the back here, another one I thought was dead, sorry I got to get through these black locusts, was that fig. So that's come back nice and strong. You see its main trunk and branches died off, which is why I felt that it was going to be dead. Just stayed dormant a long time. And there's a river birch that jumped in there a couple years ago and volunteered, and I let it stay. Last of the black locusts here. Boom, boom. Unfortunately, my 5-year-old avocado that was with the black locust, it got some black aphids and died. So, no bueno. Moving on, we've got this nice flame tree, the Delonix regia. I sent a few out to broskies like Ian at Back Garden Bonsai. He's also got his rocking and rolling. His is fully grown indoors, so if you have to do that, check out his channel, Back Garden Bonsai. I'm not going to add this in the description because I always forget and don't do any description. This is my first tree that I thought was a flame tree for years, but it's actually a blue Jacaranda that was in the wrong pack when I got the Planter's Choice Bonsai Starter Kit. So, loving that guy. Here's another small blue Jacaranda. Got a hard chop last year. It's looking pretty. Nice little canopy. Okay, so moving over to my Trident maple. So this is one of the ones that I pruned that I shouldn't have. And man, it's got some crazy trunk action going on with some live veins and some dead veins from the mouse skinning it. So it got pruned late in the season and it got skinned, and it took forever to pop off, but finally it did. So you see these other Trident maples, much more vigor, much healthier. They did not get a pruning last fall. These did not make it. They did get a pruning last fall, and you see how weak this one is, and that one's been unpruned. So, all right, Trident maples, don't prune them in the fall. Japanese maples, this is probably 40 and 40. I got them about 1.5 years ago when it was the wrong time to repot them, and then this year they started sprouting out and budding out before I had a chance to repot them again. So there's a ton of 3 to 4 year old Japanese maples in here just dying for a repot, probably this February, March. These are looking lovely. This is my the Crimson Queen, Acer palmatum dissectum, and its twin over there. So they're growing for future topiaries as well. All right, so on the back deck here, last little bit to show you. So why don't we start with, this was a planting of 3, and this was an sycamore, American sycamore or London plane tree, and that did not come back. Back here we have, these seeds came from Europe and then planted when I got back. Back here we have a birch with just lovely trunks going up, and it's running smack into this crazy wisteria that grew truly like a vine this year, but it's definitely getting an attractive looking trunk on it. There we go. There's Bruce Lee chilling out in the AC. All right, so we had a little tragedy here. I ignored this one and it got too dry, and the 2 blue spruce died up front, and all of the arborvitae that I had turned into a hedge back here. So that's lots of trees, all from seed. A shame after 5 years. But the white pines that I intentionally grew that close together are doing what they're supposed to do. So the star of the show is still alive. Arborvitae. I really attacked these pines hard this year. Japanese black pines right here. Some Connecticut white, Chinese red. And you see they are all alive and happy. I pretty much plucked all of the needles out and removed all but 2 of the candles on each branch. So you see, got normal end of season needles falling off, but lots of happy aggressive growth there. All right, got the African baobab forest that was indoors, caught some mealy bugs as it does this time of year, and now it's outside enjoying the end of summer. I have not pruned this thing in 3 years because it just doesn't grow. Kicks off leaves, doesn't grow, doesn't gain any height, and I'm afraid to honestly prune it back and just lose it because they're so hard to grow. That was that one and that. So that 3 and then this one, that's 4 out of 100 seeds. So they are the most difficult in my opinion. Got this little strawberry pot with the oak up top, and then birches and maples and all sorts growing around. The Rose of Sharon there. They're happy. When I prune them, it'll make sense. Nice attractive little bonsais coming out of the little pockets. Some junipers. Got their first wiring, hard prune this year. Juniper horizontalis here. Boom, looking nice. Pinus aristata from that bonsai starter kit. That's taken 1 hard pruning and that's it. Those things grow slowly. There's the other one. Some blue spruce that did not die. Little eastern hemlock. And this massive Japanese black pine. Kind of wired up. Let's take a look. It's got that glorious trunk. Probably take this wire off in February, March time too. Alright, wifey's juniper, no wire, but a beautiful sway to it. Some dawn redwoods that I thought were coastal when I grew them. And Japanese alcovas. There's this alcova planting that got attacked by the mice as well. Looks like maybe one tree will survive. The little one was just taken, the medium one didn't come back. London plane trees. Boom, 3 of those. This was given to us when Stella was born. Weeping Japanese cherry. This guy died this year. Old pomegranate that was given to me that was way overdue for a repotting 2 years ago. Just didn't come back. Here's a little flame tree. Spends most of its days indoors. It was a failed wire experiment. A little American yellowwood. Red maple. They had a rough hot season, so they're recovering. Same thing over here. I think we had to put on these floodlights at night for the goats because we had some predator action, and I think that they just never got a break. So between the hot summer and the light at night, it just messed them up. Another one of those strawberry pots. This one has a Rose of Sharon at the top. That should be flowering, but it's not, so that seems to be a theme for this year. Alright, y'all, so that's going to do it for today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. A little long-winded, but we got to see everything and catch y'all up on my broskies and broskas out there that have been wondering what the hell I'm doing. Stella turned 2 in July, and Laura and I took her and we went away to the Azores. That was a lot of fun, and then since we've been back, it's busy, 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 and Laura is pregnant again, due in January. So yeah, growing the family over here, growing trees, growing goats. Never a dull moment. So if I have not been putting out videos, it's all good over here. So I hope you all are having a great year as well. Let's close it out strong, moving from summer into autumn. Take care, y'all. Cheers.